All right, so Nathan, we're gonna do movies that never got made as our next premise for the episode.
Love that. Like
Right?
Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 4, bro, that brings a tear to my eyes.
Yeah.
Tim Burton's third Batman.
That's true, yeah. But you know what else? Shawshank Redemption 2. You remember that one?
no.
That got canned. Another one, Goodfellas 2, More Fellas. You know, Marty.
More Fellas.
Yeah, More Fellas. Marty really wanted that title. Unfortunately, the studio declined and it just got canned. But last but not least, I really want to talk about Citizen Kane 2, Rosebud's Revenge. Orson Welles really wanted to get that film made. I think we got a good idea here.
Rosebud's Revenge.
Yes.
I'll have to look into that one.
I looked into it. I think it's good.
All right. Welcome back to the Real Talk Podcast, episode 114. I'm your host, Nathan, and I'm joined by the man himself, Matthew Neves, to my left.
Thank you.
And today we are going to be talking about the best films that never got made.
Yep. I really wanted to do this idea because of an incident that happened at Warner Brothers of a film called Coyote versus Acme. It was yet another film that they just canceled and wrote off as it's like a tax write-off. Apparently, it cost like $30 million.
So the film was complete?
Yeah,
Like
it
that-
was.
like
It was
a-
going into post-production. I think it was like really close to being finished, and then Warner Brothers was like, we just don't want to release it theatrically, so they just dumped it. It wasn't going to get released or anything, and then a bunch of people heard about it, and now Warner Brothers changed their mind, and now they're trying to sell it to
Wow.
a different company. But imagine that, a Looney Tunes film being released by another company is insane to me. That's like if a Mickey Mouse short came out from Sony.
Yeah, like you're not going to see the Warner Bros. Logo in the beginning of a fucking...
No.
That's so weird.
That's fucked up. And when I read about it, I was like, you know what other films had similar situations? Or what about films that just never got made?
Yeah, I mean, in recent memory, I could think of the Batgirl.
Batgirl, another Warner Brothers film.
Warner
You want
Brothers is
to
wild,
know
bro.
something? I know we're a little bit like random, but the fact that Batgirl, Superman Lives, the Nick Cage film,
Yeah.
and they made a Scooby-Doo animated movie right after Scoob. All of them canceled by Warner Brothers. And guess what? They are the most expensive films that never got released.
Wow, so Warner Brothers is just hemorrhaging money.
It's just tax write-offs.
Oh,
they
but they're
they
writing
can
it
because they would save more money apparently if they didn't release it versus them releasing it, because there would be an off chance that it doesn't make money and they would lose money.
Wow.
So they've been getting flop after flop. So to them, it's just like, we'd rather just never show it to the public and get our money's worth than like. And to me, that's like the exact opposite of artistic freedom.
Yo,
like
we're
literally
in a-
the opposite.
We're in a weird fucking time, man. Like, that's crazy.
It's fucked because Batgirl was 90 million. Superman Lives, they didn't even shoot a single frame from that. They had the Nick Cage prep, the Tim Burton.
I've seen the famous picture of Nick Cage in,
Exactly.
in that nice suit.
Yeah.
I love it.
$30 million. $30 million. And they just never released it. They never touched it. And the amount of money that gets spent on movies that just never get made.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. And we're going to get into it for this particular
That's
episode.
crazy. So let's talk about some of our favorite films that never get made.
Yes.
This one keeps me up at night to this day. The first one here, Spider-Man 4, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man.
Sam Raimi's
4.
Let's clarify, yes.
The Sam Raimi's trilogy of Spider-Man is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
I fucking love that trilogy.
Yes, same here.
I grew up on these films. You know, the Spider-Man 1 VHS tape, if you watch it, it's grainy as hell because I played that tape so many damn times. Like, I
Hell yeah.
love these movies. And Sony straight up tweets that Spider-Man 4 was going to come out.
2011.
And 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And they, not only that, they give us an exact date.
Was it July?
Let me
Because I
let me search
remember
that up.
seeing that, and it was that infamous font with the number 4
Yep.
and the date. And the fact that it was...
So in March of 2009.
Oh, my God.
Holy fuck.
2009.
In March of 2009,
Jesus Christ.
Sony tweets, Sony Pictures to release Spider-Man 4 on May 6, 2011.
You know what that was probably going to compete against if it did get made? Probably Captain America, the first Avenger. Isn't that fucking weird how the Tobey Maguire franchise would have overlapped with the MCU?
Yeah, that feels so separate, right?
Wow.
That's crazy. I never made that connection as well. That's nuts.
But because Sam Raimi didn't really like Sony's management skills and their direction, he was like, fuck it. I hate this. You guys kicked my ass over Venom for Spider-Man 3, which I didn't even want to add. He didn't even want to add Venom.
Yeah, he had a rough time on Spider-Man 3. I think they
So-
gave him the reins for 1 and 2.
Yeah.
But tried to pull that back in 3, and they added Venom, and
Yeah.
it made it a worse fucking movie because
Yeah. Well, because Venom is arguably the worst part of Spider-Man 3 because it's the one part that feels so out of place.
yeah, and not because Venom is a bad villain. It's
No.
because they just throw him in.
Yeah.
And to me, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man are some of the most personal superhero films out there, and because of that, I think they work best with one villain.
Yeah.
Because it's a personal story between Peter and the villain, and also Spider-Man and the villain.
Yeah.
Which
I think it's because Spider-Man 1 and 2 were both critical success and financial that Sony was like, we got to add more shit. We got to make more money.
Yeah.
We got to do this. Venom is the most iconic Spider-Man villain, debatably. So we got to put him in somewhere. And that's when Raimi was like, fuck it, I'm not doing Spider-Man.
I don't
4.
fucking blame Sam Raimi here.
Yeah.
It's a crime that we didn't get it, but if it was just going to be a film where the studio had the bottom line and Sam Raimi was there just because,
Yeah.
then maybe I wouldn't want it anyway. If it was going the direction of 3, I think I'm good.
Fair enough. And honestly, the last shot in Spider-Man 3 with him and MJ, getting out of the bar and stuff, like, honestly, perfect.
It's a good
I
conclusion.
like that ending.
Me too.
So, oh well.
Me too.
No Spider-Man 4.
What's the next one on the list?
You know what? Let's go into Ghostbusters 3.
Oh yeah, this one's interesting.
Because I remember James Rolfe talked about it, the
Yeah.
history behind it. And if you want to know like the deeper dive into it, like you can watch that. But I feel like my opinion on if Ghostbusters 3 would have been good or not, I feel like it would have been okay.
Yes.
Okay at best. After reading the script, after looking at the Bill Murray not giving a fuck.
The script, I wrote one little note on the premise.
Yeah.
The script was about fighting Lucifer,
Yeah.
the devil himself,
Yeah.
in a city called Manhattan.
Van Helton, yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know if it's gonna be better than I think they're just it's a classic example of a franchise being stretched.
Yeah, I feel like I would have enjoyed it if Harold Ramis, Ernie Hudson, all them came back one last time as like the old guys. It was like, we're the Ghostbusters. Because that's the thing that I liked about Ghostbusters 2, even though not a whole lot of people liked it, is like there's a moment where he's like, all right, guys, suck up the guts. We're the Ghostbusters. It's like they're middle aged. Like they could have went with that angle versus what they did in 2016 versus what they did in 2020, whatever, with fucking Paul
What about
Rudd.
that new fucking trailer?
That looks bad.
God.
It doesn't look good at all. It's just like, oh, Mr. Freeze is now a ghost. Ugh.
It's tough. It's
Yeah.
tough. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Ghostbusters, I think, is not a really supposed to be a franchise. There's not that much material there.
No.
I think they caught lightning in a bottle with the original
Yeah.
Ghostbusters. The time, the cast, all of those is what makes Ghostbusters 1 and 2 classics.
Right. It reminded me of somebody compared it to, it's like, dude, seeing the new trailer for Ghostbusters, it's like if they made a cinematic universe for Caddyshack.
Yeah,
It's Rodney Dangerfield's son passing the torch. And it's like,
some franchises got to stay in the past, man.
I agree.
And I think that's one of them.
Yeah.
I really do think that's one of them. But apparently that Ghostbusters 3 fell through because Bill Murray just wasn't very interested.
He didn't give a shit. He
I
was
don't blame
literally the reason why. Because all the other three were like, yeah, I'm on board. But Bill was like, fuck. No.
He was the biggest star of all of them, I think, right?
In terms of popularity, yeah.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
he
probably had the most opportunities.
the money,
It
and
was like, I don't need to go back for this Ghostbusters 3.
yeah. I do agree though. I think the closest you ever got to like a Ghostbusters 3 was that video game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to watch cutscenes of a video game, that's your
There
Ghostbusters
you
3,
go.
I guess.
There's some cuts on YouTube. I'm sure you can find the
Yeah.
whole story.
Because the Manhattan story, they use parts of that in the video game.
Very
so
cool.
That's the closest. But what else do you want to talk about? Because we got a couple here from Blockbusters that.
I want to talk about Tim Burton's Batman 3
Okay, let's go.
because this one is one of the most talked about ones.
Yeah, amongst superhero.
I think.
Yeah.
I personally love Tim Burton's Batman.
Same.
I grew up watching reruns of those on Teletoon, and have a lot of nostalgia for
Yeah.
those films. The style, they used to scare the shit out of me. Penguin used to scare
Batman
the shit out of
Returns
me.
was scary.
Joker scared the crap out of me,
Mm-hmm.
and that will forever stick with me.
Oh, yeah.
Those movies, and to think that Tim Burton wanted to do a third,
Mm-hmm.
and Warner Brothers of all
Yeah, of
fucking-
all people.
because they love to
Wow.
make great decisions.
I wonder what they were thinking.
So the film was supposed to be called Batman Continues, but
Yeah.
Warner Brothers wants to go a more kid-friendly direction
Mm-hmm.
and essentially kind of tries to convince Tim Burton out of the job from what Tim Burton has said. Like,
Essentially.
they do not want him to make the film.
Yeah.
He's in the meetings kind of realizing, getting the hint that they don't want to make this film.
Around
They
this-
do not
yeah.
want to make a dark film like the first two. And then that's why we get fucking
Batman
Forever.
Yeah, because Keaton himself was like, if Tim Burton is not working on this, I am leaving as well. Because they gave him a good paycheck
Yeah.
too. I think it was like 15 million.
Damn.
Because at
for
that point,
time, bro,
yeah,
it's a lot of fucking money.
and he said no because he's like, I trust Tim Burton. I don't want to be in a fucking goofy movie that I don't believe in. So he left, got a new Batman, got a new director, and after that movie, you had the infamous Batman and Robin, which really doubled down on the goofiness.
Jesus
Which,
Christ.
yeah.
What a mess, and it's a shame that we could have got a complete Tim Burton trilogy.
Do you know what? Who was supposed to be Robin in the third Batman Tim Burton film?
No.
I think it was Marlon Wayans.
Whoa.
Yeah. I think-
Marlon Wayans?
I think he did an audition for them. He was like, "Yeah, Tim and I, we he wanted me to play Robin." And right after he got
what
fired,
year is this? This is a young
95?
Marlon Wayans, yeah.
yeah, he would have been in his early 20s, I believe, to play that. And I'm like, I would never see him as Robin,
But I fuck with it.
I fuck with it. It's the same way like people didn't really see Keaton as Batman before he became it. So I'm
I
like,
completely agree.
fuck it. And a fan cast that I read, and if it was Tim Burton, I could totally see it. Who would play Batgirl? Winona Ryder.
Whoa.
Yeah. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, fuck, I wish this movie existed.
Yeah.
That would have been a Batgirl and then Robin and then Batman all together fighting Two-Face as Billy D. Williams.
Oh yeah.
They would've-
We didn't get to see Billy D turn into Two-Face.
And he would have by the third one.
Oh,
Because that script, you
man.
could tell, because they cast Tommy Lee Jones, and that moment, I was so heartstruck. I was so heartbroken because I was like, no.
I just thought about that too, bro. We didn't get to see Billy D shine. And by the 90s, I feel like that would have been a big role for Billy D because he was not
Yes.
the same, Like that.
No.
God damn it.
We would have got Billy D. Williams as Two-Face, and I doubt Jim Carrey would have been the Riddler, though. They
No.
would have got someone else.
Yeah.
I'm just letting you guys know. Tim Burton would not have gotten him. For
sure.
So we may never know who.
And I don't want to do all superhero movies, but I want to do one more because
Go
this
for
one
it.
really interests me. James Cameron's 90s Spider-Man. This is crazy. So the story goes that James Cameron and his wife were going into a meeting because his
Right.
wife was set to direct an X-Men movie
Was this?
which he was going to produce in
Catherine
the early
Bigelow?
90s. Yes.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Holy fuck.
So she was going to do X-Men. He was going to produce it. They go into the meeting and they start talking about Spider-Man.
Oh my God.
And James Cameron, that's his favorite superhero.
yeah.
And all of a sudden, the X-Men film is canceled.
Yeah.
And James Cameron is writing a Spider-Man script.
Holy shit.
And his script follows it's an origin story similar to Sam Raimi's.
Yeah.
But it was going to be a dark film. There's swearing in the script.
Oh.
And he wanted to show New York for kind of what it really was.
Yeah.
And so it has an origin story, and Electro was the main villain.
He wasn't going to be played by Howard Stern, was it? What are these notes?
So okay.
Okay. I'm looking at the notes and I just see Howard Stern and then Electro. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, no.
No. Not Howard Stern as Electro.
Thank God. Fuck, man.
So they were talking about Paul Walker. Who else was approached?
For Spider-Man?
For Spider-Man.
Wow. Oh, yeah. You know what? Yeah. Because he was like a young kid around that time.
Oh no, wait. Am I thinking about the Superman one? Sorry, I'm thinking about this. I'm getting confused with the J.J.
Oh,
Superman.
so who was going to be
early
Spider-Man in
90s.
James Cameron's?
I don't.
Spider-Man.
I think it was. I think they were talking Leo.
Leo?
They were talking Leo.
I mean, I guess Titanic around that time, he was working with him.
Exactly. For James Cameron, I think James Cameron's number one was Leo to play Spider-Man in the early 90s, which would be fucking wild.
Wild.
And the reason I have Howard Stern there is because James Cameron even went on the Howard Stern show and like was trying to actively get this movie made. He was like, I love Spider-Man. I have a script. They don't want to make it because at that time, superhero movies weren't a thing, and the Spider-Man licensing rights, like
all over the place,
were all over the place. And he literally said it's only because of the rights that I can't make this movie. So we were very close to getting.
It was owned by Canon at a certain point. Did you know that?
That's
Canon,
crazy.
like some schlocky B movie studio where it was like, oh yeah, we're gonna cast this nobody as Spider-Man, and it's gonna be the big franchise. They lost so much money, and guess who buys them off? Sony.
That's crazy.
And the rest is history.
Yeah.
Damn, I would not have expected Leo to be Spider-Man in
Leo,
that film.
imagine
Also, Cameron.
wanting
You know
to do
which
Spider-Man?
you know which superhero I figured Cameron would take on due to the fact that he's really into like the water effects of Avatar and shit. Fucking Aquaman.
Aquaman would be sick.
I'm just saying, Aquaman with the Avatar VFX, million times better than what the fucking trailer we saw of Lost Kingdom.
Yeah, I'm real interested in this Spider-Man. I'm kind of obviously glad it didn't get made because the Sam Raimi trilogy would not have been made. I
Yeah.
feel like if this is made in the early 90s, and also it's early 90s. It's an early superhero movie. It's probably not going to age the best. I don't know. It's James Cameron. It's in good hands, but who really knows how
It
that
would have been
go?
compared to like a Batman with Burton.
I think
To be
so.
honest.
Yeah.
So I don't know where that would go.
That's interesting. That's an interesting one.
Right.
Okay, let's move on to the past superhero movies.
Yeah. Let's get into our tour filmmakers.
I like that.
Because we know some directors like Kubrick and Orson Welles that have tried to make these passion projects, and it takes years, sometimes decades, and nothing.
I know, and even some of the
Nothing.
greats like Stanley Kubrick and Orson Welles. When you want to talk about greatest directors of all time, most
Yeah.
important directors, those guys are in the conversation, and even them couldn't get films made. Had spent money on films that
Yeah.
never saw the light of day. Stanley Kubrick with Napoleon.
Which we talked about in our last episode.
Yeah, if you want to hear some of the history of that film, check out our Napoleon review. And Heart of Darkness with Orson Welles.
Yeah. So Heart of Darkness was, I guess most people would know that infamously as Apocalypse Now,
Yeah.
because that was adapted from the script by John Millis. But before then, Orson Welles, I would think around the 50s or 60s, was trying to make this film, trying to make this epic movie about the adaptation. It wasn't set during Vietnam, obviously,
Right.
because it predates it, but it was still essentially about that character going into this journey. And there was like no money. Orson tried his hardest to get this film funded, and I feel like, not a single production day because he just didn't have the money. He didn't even have money for pre-production.
It's a shame because it sounds like a movie I want to see Orson Welles make. Like,
Yeah.
it just sounds like a very Orson Welles film. Like, I think he could do such a good job with it.
Yeah,
You
a
know?
lot of films that he made around that time. Like I think Don Quixote. You ever hear that
No.
story? He tried to make a movie, Don Quixote, based on one of the oldest novels ever written. I think Terry Gilliam tried to. I think he did make one with Adam Driver recently, but Orson tried, and he actually got into production of that. But the footage was lost, and not enough money was made.
Man.
So it happens more than once, and it happens to these big name directors.
Yeah, it happens to huge name directors that you would think they have a green light, but sometimes the movie business becomes more of a business than a passion, and these movies are hard to make, especially in those days. There was very
Yeah.
few people who held the keys, right? There's these gatekeepers, and there's very few of them.
Yeah.
And it's like nowadays, maybe Orson Welles could have went to Apple TV
Yeah.
and said, "Please give me some money for Heart of Darkness."
Yeah.
But in those days, he couldn't.
Technology now is, I am so grateful we're living in this time where, sure, some of these films may not get released, but there's still a chance because of it existing on a hard drive, still existing somewhere. Like, this is a 50 years old, man. What are the odds of somebody retrieving film reels of this shit?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
it's fucking hard.
Exactly.
What I have two others on this list, Nathan, but
Yeah.
I want you to pick which one you want to dive into for our tour.
I want to do Kill Bill 3 for
Hell yeah,
sure.
man.
Because I think it would be very cool for Tarantino to have a trilogy in his filmography. But I understand his mindset is 10 films.
Yeah.
And I can appreciate that. And I think there's quality in all of his films. But Kill Bill 3, there's a real opportunity there.
Yeah.
I think I wouldn't say is missed, but I think it would still be a good movie because the sequel was so good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Kill Bill 3, if the most recent news I heard from it right before it was like completely canned
How
was
far along did that get?
well, they wanted Maya Hawke to be like the daughter, obviously, because Uma Thurman, their like real life mother and daughter.
Okay.
That's about it though. That was the last I heard of it, where it's like, yeah, she can come in, she could be like the mother-daughter relationship and they could like fight and stuff. That's all I heard. And even then it was so vague that I was like, I fucking doubt Tarantino's gonna make it. Because when you have a vague premise like that, it's like, when the fuck are you actually gonna get it funded and shit like that? I feel like Tarantino was intending it to be like that double feature because of how long the movie was.
Yeah.
And nothing more. If anything, Kill Bill 3, if it did get made in a different universe, it would have been like an epilogue similar to Godfather 3, to be honest.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. He tells the main story in 1 and 2, and it was always kind of like, he had that story fleshed out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that one, I mean, I'm so happy with 1 and 2 that it doesn't really hurt that I didn't get a third. I'm satisfied with that story. You know
Exactly.
what I mean?
Next on the list are films that are abandoned. So similar to like what I briefly talked
interested
about
in
with
this.
Orson Welles' other film, these are films that were in production but got canned due to personal things, production, controversy, history, whatever. Obviously, let's get into The Game of Death, Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee.
So this was a film that he was working on very passionately. I think it was right after Enter the Dragon.
Wow.
Right after that film, he got a bunch of money funded for it, and unfortunately, midway into the production, he dies. He passes away. So the original idea for Bruce Lee and his intention has never fully gotten made,
Right.
but Game of Death did get made post his passing.
I never saw it.
No, I saw clips of it, and you can kind of tell they're like reworking it. It's not like The Crow where you can get away with the CGI because
Crow.
this was made 1975, I
Right,
believe.
right after Enter the Dragon. Right?
Exactly. Well, yeah, because it came out 2 years after Bruce Lee passed away, so they were trying to rework it with a stunt double and a different actor, and the story is not the same as
course.
what Bruce Lee intended, unfortunately. So yeah, you get moments like that.
Yellow Submarine with Robert Zemeckis. I don't really know much about this film.
Okay. So you know how Robert Zemeckis is known for Polar Express,
Yep.
Christmas Carol, that technology?
Yeah.
Imagine a Yellow Submarine film in that technology using the audio from John Lennon, Ringo, George Harrison, Paul McCartney. Yeah.
That was going to be made?
Yeah. And you want to know why it didn't get made or fully fleshed or released or anything like that? It's because of Mars Needs Moms. That movie bombed so hard that the company that animated it they were out of business. Like they
So this was flushed out and in the works.
Yep,
Like,
they have concept art for it. It's
oh my God.
uncanny at best and creepy at worst. I
Right.
will admit that.
Okay.
There is a small clip of all four of the Beatles with that similar animation of motion capture in a scene acting. If you want to check it out, go for it. It's only like 20 seconds long, I think. But
That's crazy.
the whole movie was going to be in that style. If you've seen Yellow Submarine, like the 2D animated
Yeah.
film, basically like that, but in motion capture, like
Wow.
like Polar Express. Yeah,
That's pretty wild.
very ambitious.
And this last one, All-Star Weekend with Jamie Foxx.
Did you hear about this?
I remember Jamie Foxx actively promoting this film.
Okay. Because my dad mentioned this, and I was
Yeah.
like, who is in this film? Apparently, everyone's in this film.
Yes.
Everyone is in this film. Jamie Foxx stars, directs this comedy. Do you know the premise of this movie?
I've watched Jamie Foxx explain the premise in an interview. To be quite honest with you, it's kind of forgettable and I don't really remember it.
Fair enough.
But it's centered around basketball All-Star Weekend, like events going on
Right.
during the basketball All-Star Weekend.
Yeah.
The cast is crazy, and I remember Jamie Foxx like dressing up as Stephen A. Smith and going on Stephen A. Smith shows to like make fun of him, and all of this was to promote All-Star Weekend. And I remember hearing about this and thinking, "Oh, that's a film I'm gonna check out." You know, I love Jamie Foxx and stuff.
Yep.
And then I never heard anything ever again.
Yeah. I don't know what has happened to it. I don't know what the studio is doing. All I know is that it is called shelved. It is
Yeah.
shelved. And I'm thinking, what? Robert Downey Jr.'s in it? And what I think
But at that point, just like fucking put it. Like I don't know, man. If all these guys signed on, just make the damn movie.
And Jamie Foxx has the connections to do it.
Yeah, he really does.
I think part of it
Everybody
is
loves Jamie Foxx.
Exactly. I think part of it is distribution and the rights. So maybe he does have the money to get it released and to get it distributed, but I think the studio is like some legal trouble there. I don't know, but I've heard that before where a lot of people have the money, they just legally cannot release a movie.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's like, I made this movie. Why the fuck can't I release it? And the studio's like, oh, because we own it.
right.
We'll do whatever we want with it. So if it ever gets released, thank God. But as of now, as of 2023, like, it's been how many years?
Years.
It's been years.
That's not coming out.
It's not coming out.
That's
Yeah.
not coming out. Okay, I want to talk about some fun ones that I listed here.
Yeah, man.
The Mask 2.
Ugh.
Back in the day, Nintendo Power ran a contest. And the prize of this contest was be an extra in The Mask 2.
Oh, wow.
Guess what? The Mask 2 never fucking came out.
Unless-
Jim Carrey didn't want to do it.
Yeah, no. Unless you count Son of the Mask, but Jim was not in that one.
No. And apparently, Nintendo ended up just sending this guy like $5,000 and some merch.
That's amazing. I am so glad I can finally know the ending of that story because
Yeah,
I don't know
I
how it
researched
ended.
it.
Somebody must have fucking won.
There's an actual picture of the letter that Nintendo sent, and it was kind of like, sorry, Mask 2 didn't get made. Here's $5,000 in a Nintendo Power hoodie.
You know what would be funnier is if like 10 years later he gets the letter from Nintendo saying like, here's the call sheet. And he's like, the fuck is this? Son of the Mask? Yeah, you're going to be acting with the cartoon baby. And it's like, fuck it. Give me the $5,000, man. Jesus.
Another one I want to talk about quickly is the Space Jam sequels.
No.
Because after the success of the original Space Jam, they wanted to make lots of sequels.
Oh, God.
They wanted to make Space Jam 2 with Michael Jordan. The villain was going to be voiced by Mel Brooks.
Okay, I
Mel
fuck with
Brooks
that.
was supposed to apparently already signed on. MJ didn't want to do it. That got canned. Spy Jam with Jackie Chan, which got turned into Back in Action with your boy Brendan Fraser.
Okay, I like Brendan Fraser.
Was
But what a
originally the
weird
Jackie
one.
Chan one I wanted to see.
Wow.
This one I wanted to see the most. Skate Jam
Oh, God.
with Tony Hawk. I wanted to see that one, man. Imagine that in the late 90s, the Tony Hawk video game is booming, and we get the Space Jam movie with Tony Hawk. I would love it. You're not very interested.
What's next? Golf Jam?
Yeah,
With fucking
Tiger Woods.
With Tiger Woods?
There was talks of that, bro.
my
They
God.
left no stone unturned.
Every sport film was
Yeah.
going to turn in Looney Tunes IP, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know what? I would have wanted the Mel Brooks one out of these three.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
And I have one more superhero that I have to talk about, film that I have to talk about.
Okay.
Is J.J. Abrams' Superman Flyby.
Ooh.
They approach Jude Law, Paul Walker, and Brendan Fraser
Oh my God.
to play Superman, and Robert Downey Jr. as Lex Luthor.
Oh my fucking God.
God damn.
I love Brendan Fraser. I love Jude Law. I love Paul Walker. Can I be completely honest? I do not see any of them as Superman.
Bro, you don't see Paul Walker hopping into GTR to like fight crime?
You don't need to fly,
Like,
I
bro, you
guess.
can fly, but nah, he just
Nah.
drives manual everywhere.
Paul Walker would have been a better Spider-Man than a Superman, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, probably.
I'm just saying, Robert Downey Jr. as Lex Luthor. Let's just say, thank God he's Iron Man.
Yo.
I'm just saying that. Thank God he's Iron Man.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of unmade films,
Let's do one main question here. What out of all these films that we talked about, if you had to pick one to green light and get it made, get it finished, which one do you pick?
If I went back in time to 1994, Warner Brothers, I would tell them shut the fuck up and make that Tim Burton Batman film.
Yeah.
Complete the trilogy. I feel like that's what suffers from a lot of these movies is that there is no. At least Spider-Man has a trilogy. At least it's self-contained. I would have wanted to see a fourth one, but
I agree.
the trilogy is the trilogy. I would have wanted that Michael Keaton Batman trilogy. We never got it. We were grateful for Christian Bale. He got his trilogy as Batman, but I would have wanted a Batman continues.
I completely agree. That's my pick here too, and to me, that's kind of like the pick because some of these are fun to talk about and try and imagine,
Yeah.
but none of them. I'm like, oh, this would be a home run for sure. Like, I'm not too sure about any of these, except for Tim Burton's Batman
Yeah,
3.
yeah.
I have a strong feeling it would follow the first two, it would complete a trilogy, and it would be good.
Especially that last shot with Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman in Batman Returns. I'm like, I wanted to see that continuation. Instead, we got Adam West inspired fucking Two-Face. I'm
Yeah.
like, God damn it.
Let us know what film on this list you wish got made. Let us know what you thought of this episode idea. Maybe we could do another one in the future because there's so
absolutely.
many more films that never got made and never saw the light of day. And I thought this was a fun topic. Thanks for watching this episode of the Real Talk Podcast. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to your boys. We'll catch you in the next one. Take care. Brush your hair. Peace.
Peace.